Okay, let's say you want to use partial quotient, but you have a little bit of a bigger number. So let's say we're doing 1,873 divided by 6. We're going to set it up the same way, 1,873, our dividend, divided by our divisor, which is 6. Except when we do our help box over here, 6 times 2, 6 times 5, 6 times 10, we notice 30 and 60, we notice that 60 is not even close to 1,873. So what we can use is the power of 10. We can multiply using the power of 10 to make these numbers bigger. So 6 times 2 is 12. But if I put a 0 on 2 and make it 20, 6 times 20, we know we can just add this 0 also to the product or our answer, which makes it 120. We'll do the same thing with 6 times 5. We'll make it 50, which makes the 30. We add a 0, it makes it 300. And instead of 6 times 10, we'll do 6 times 100, which makes the product 600. Now these numbers are much bigger and much closer to our dividend. Otherwise, we're going to have to do like 2 pages worth of partial quotients. So again, I bring my line down, and this time instead of 6 times 2, 5, and 10, I'm going to do 20, 50, and 100. So which one is closest to 1,873 without going over? It's 6 times 100, which is 600. So 6 times 100 is 600. And just like before, I line it up with my ones, tens, and hundreds place. 3 minus 0 is 3. 7 minus 0 is 7. 8 minus 6 is 2. And bring down my 1. 1,273 is our new dividend. Again, I can use 6 times 100, which is 600. So 6 times 100 is 600. Bring down my 3. 7 minus 0 is 7. And I can't do 2 minus 6, so this becomes a 0, and our 2 becomes a 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. Now we still have 673, so it's still greater than 600, so I'm going to do another 100. 6 times 100 is 600. 3 minus 0 is 3, 7 minus 0 is 7, and 6 minus 6 is 0, so I have 73. Now remember when we added these zeros up here? We can also take the zeros off. Some people like to just do it by looking at it, so they'll just take the zeros off in their mind. Some students like to actually go in and erase the zeros so they don't get confused. So now I'm back to my original help box. This is why they call it a help box. And I know 6 times 10 is 60, which is closest to 73 without going over. So 6 times 10 this time is 60. Now, I will say one thing about this. Excuse me. You see how I just put this really close to the line and it looks like it's underneath the hundreds place, my 1? Some students who get confused, I encourage them to kind of line it up with the rest of these. So now my 0's in the 1's place and my 1 is in the 10's place. So 6 times 10 was 60. 3 minus 0 is 3. And 7 minus 6 is 1. Now I look back at my help box and I can see that 6 times 2 is 12, which is close to 13 without going over. So 6 times 2 is 12. And when I subtract that, I get 13 minus 12 is 1. 1 is less than my divisor, so I need to stop dividing. This is going to become my remainder. Okay? So I need to remember that I have this remainder here. I can add using mental math, 100, 200, 300, 310, 312, or I can actually go and say 00002 and 0001 and then 1, 2, 3 in my hundreds place. But don't forget you have this remainder, so it's the quotient is 312, remainder 1. And I can put that up here, remainder 1. And there is my, there's my quotient. But in order to check it, I'm going to multiply. So 312 is 300, 10, and 2 times 6. Again, I have 1, 2 zeros, and 6 times 3 is 18. I have 1 0 here. 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 times 2 is 12. 1,800 plus 60 plus 12. And you can see that this is very close to my dividend, but it's not exact. That's because I need to add my remainder in. I had a remainder of 1. And now my answer is the same as my dividend, so I know that my quotient is correct.